We're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Jed Rowen, Pretty Boy and Blind, and Pretty Boy, Daisy and Brute 1976, Sluggo and the Ghastly Love of Johnny X, currently Logos, opposite Crispin Glover, and A Blind Bargain, and tons more. Over 100 credits. It's cool to have you back.
Hey man, it's great to be here. I love your show. It's great to be on shows that you're a fan of. And I brought a little where's my mannequin, pretty boy. He dressed up for the occasion.
That's good.
And
Yeah, we don't want to get kicked off YouTube and have him naked.
yeah. Well, worse would be me naked, so that it's better him than. But
we'll see you. Yeah, when we get later in the show, maybe. After, without your head, after hours. Yeah. The OnlyFans edition.
Yeah. I'm sure they're better candidates than me, but.
So we're gonna talk.
I didn't know you were branching out in that direction. You gotta branch out.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to help fund the next movie. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in that. There's a lot of money in that.
Yeah, it'll be reverse OnlyFans. People have to pay me to put clothes on. But so I assume you're a horror movie fan since you're in a lot of horror stuff. And if not, maybe that's sad. I don't know. But did you grow up a horror fan?
Yeah, I of course loved horror growing up, but I was more like a theater nerd. More into kind of the mainstream plays and playwrights, and took theater very seriously. But I always loved horror, right? But it was until later, really. I mean, even when I was up in the Bay Area, I did a lot of stage. I did Shakespeare. I did a lot of original plays, and actually did, when I was up in the Bay Area, I did a movie that went on to be the @1 Hong Kong film.
Really?
Sausalito, it was called. And at the time, they just cast me as a background, as a homeless guy, and then it morphed into this recurring character in the movie with Maggie Chung and Leon Lai. I think I'm getting those names right. Were at that time in the late 90s were like a very big deal in Hong Kong cinema. And then, months later, I was at some play in San Francisco, and I saw a young lady who was on the crew, which was like, "Hey, that movie is all over Asia. It's in China and Hong Kong and Guam and whatever, and it's playing in the Richmond district." I'm like, "Well, I wish someone told me." So I went to this little movie theater in the Richmond district in San Francisco. Who knows, that theater's still there. And I saw myself on the big screen, which was actually a very little screen. And I still saved the ticket from it.
Oh, that's wild.
And I knew then, it's like, yeah, I got to get down to LA where they make more movies.
Yeah. So that was the first time you saw yourself on screen?
Yes. Like in a real movie theater, with like a real ticket that you can buy.
Yeah.
And
I know a lot of people, they'll say, "Oh, I hate seeing myself on screen," but there has to be part of them that I know they like, "No, I really like it."
Yeah, I think that I don't really kind of understand when I hear that from actors. I'm not very easy to look at, and I love seeing myself on a big screen. It's a thrill, to be part of a real movie and to see it in an audience. I mean, I love that,
Well, so. You say like you're not easy to look at, but you're a great character. You really stand out. You're really interesting. And I mean, I'm serious here. And this was something I was going to ask you. Like, when you get the character of Pretty Boy, and you're all, get a mask that doesn't show emotion, like, how do you like take on that role because you can't use some of your like your skills that you've honed over the years?
Well, that's a really good question. And it's very, very interesting uh, role because I didn't want to play the character like wooden. I didn't want to
Hmm.
play it. Uh, don't take this the wrong way. I love my stunt guys. I've done stunts. I have the utmost respect for stunt people. They're amazing. But I didn't want to play it like that. I wanted to play it more of an artsy, kind of fartsy
Hmm.
role. And I actually drew upon a lot of the artsy fartsy theater classes I would take over the years and crawl on the ground like a fish out of water or all these things. And I'm like, because I wanted to bring that to the role because I wanted the emotion to somehow come through that mask. And regardless if I think I pulled it off or what people think, um, more than one person has come up to me and told me that he really felt the emotion. He or she really felt the emotion coming through the mask, and that's music to my ears because that's what I set out to do,
Hmm.
which is not necessarily easy.
Yeah, and I do think sometimes people think, oh, anyone can just be this guy, a killer in a mask or whatever. And but we've probably all seen movies where it's like, oh, this person, the charisma comes through or the acting comes through, and you can tell if it's just a guy in a mask that's just standing there.
Yeah, I think, with certain movies, particularly lately, like, of course, The Terrifier and Pretty Boy and other movies, it's interesting to cast, an actor that has a background in, you know, stage performances and the Terrifier guy was a what was he again? He was a
I
uh,
mean, he's done, and it's weird because you can go and find these videos of him doing like hundreds of different voices, and he's his breakout role is a role where he doesn't speak.
yeah, and he was he had a background and all that stuff, and I think it's interesting to uh, bring in an actor that has an artsy background and what how that can make these mass killers more eccentric and more even relatable in their emotions and their kind of trickster energy. So, you know, um, I that's what I really love playing this character because the more every day that we did it, it was having uh, more fun as an actor instead
Mhm.
of just being someone that could go through the motions and be a tough guy and do some light stunts, all that, you know.
Yeah, how did the role come about? Like, did I know now you've worked with all those people? Like, it's like your own little troupe. But had you worked with them before this? Like, was this your first movie with Marcel? And
Uh, the first movie with Marcel was Blind,
okay,
so
well, yeah, but I meant really the character itself. So
yes,
yeah.
um, that was the first one, and basically, me and Marcel clicked right off the bat, and we had this great little troupe. But it was Joe. Joe Netter really, we've known each other for years. We met at a Colorado at the Starfest Harfest
Oh,
park,
yeah. I knew Joe from festivals too, or conventions, I guess.
and we always stayed in touch. But it's interesting, those kind of people you kind of randomly meet and definitely get along with, and you party with, and you just have a good bunch of laughs with. That they somehow become years later this like very big part of your life.
Hmm.
Oh, this instrumental part of your career and life. And I always told him because I knew how talented he was, and I knew that kind of he had a destiny. And I just even back in the day, I said, "Hey man, you got to write me like a Chop Top character," because I've always been obsessed with crazy characters like that. And if anyone that knows Joe, they know how what's going on up there with Joe? And all I can say is I kept bugging him over the years and bugging him. And all I can say is be careful what you wish for. Because, some of these characters he created are, pretty out there.
Yeah. So did he have you in mind for Blind?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he really thought of anyone else. I was around and we were kind of all itching to get a project going. And then I met Marcel and learned about Marcel and his background in Germany, which is very accomplished. And we just all was like being in like a little troupe, like a little theater company. And then Sarah and all the other cool actors, and we had some great locations, and we just said, hey, let's go, let's make the best of it. We had some resources, and
it's really similar to American Horror Story. It's like it's like this group of, and then they all take on different characters in each of the stories, and I think there's something fun about that.
Oh yeah, that's that's Marcel's one of his favorite shows.
I could definitely see that. Marcel, I've known for a long time. I've never met him, but I had him on the show originally for when he was doing the reboot of A Blood Feast. He was still in Germany then.
Oh wow! Oh, so you knew him in when he was in Germany? Oh wow!
Yeah. And it's even like I said, I know him online, never met him, but it's fun to see people. It's like, oh, he's trying to do this movie and like to go on and do all this stuff. Same thing with Joe. Like I knew him when he's writing books, and it's cool to see him like doing all these cool movies now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny and like, oh, by the way, the Terrifier guy, he was a mime.
There we go. Yeah,
and just it's fun to get actors like that come from those perspectives. But yeah, with this, I think that sometimes in life, like these things, they're kind of like part of, again, your destiny to work with Joe and Marcel and Sarah. And, who knew that we would get this momentum to do all these movies together,
mm-hmm.
to get the funding to do them, to get just the ability to do it. Like the stars have to align, right? And they did for whatever cosmic reason. And it was just being in this, like, again, this great, like, theater troupe.
Yeah, I sometimes think because that's all this guy must make movies constantly because he's got like 2 or 3 coming out a year. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
Totally. Did you know when you were doing Blind that their Pretty Boy would be like a thing? Did you know like there would be a sequel right away?
That I didn't know there would be a sequel right away, but Joe was very ambitious with his scripts. In fact, there's another script for Pretty Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was very, when you sit down and you write scripts, sequels and prequels, and you're pretty motivated, you're pretty ambitious. And we were all very ambitious, still are very ambitious, but we were very ambitious about the project, and it just happened. But no, we didn't necessarily have a plan. We didn't necessarily have a budget, or maybe they did, but I wasn't aware of it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to speak for anyone, but it just all came together. But Joe was prepared. He had the scripts. He had me. He had Sarah. He had it was just ready to go. They just needed to find the funding, and they did.
And both movies are like kind of almost different subgenres of horror, where the second one's like more of a slasher, and the first one's more. Did that change your like performance at all, or did you still play the character basically the same in both movies?
Well, the first one, Blind, it literally was in kind of every category. Literally, when it won awards or was nominated for awards, it would be up for like best film noir.
Mm-hmm.
It was even considered a drama. It was like a horror movie, of course, but also a experimental film. It was all over the place, which made it, I thought, very interesting. And then, of course, we wanted to kind of streamline it into a more not mainstream horror movie, but nice category.
Yeah.
And the character was pretty much, I think, in my mind, established by then. But there was definitely opportunities to have more fun with it and to expand it and to focus really on some of the more diabolical aspects of that kind of character, because it was a little bit more focused on a certain category.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, kind of, it's more of the slasher movie, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I love slasher movies.
Yeah.
That's actually why I like horror in general, though. Is it really depends what mood I'm in. Like you can watch even like a kind of a brainless movie or a very thought provoking movie, and I can enjoy them all for different reasons.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And I know you do other acting and you like other movies. I do too, even though this is a horror movie show. I do watch non-horror stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, one of the films that I'm very proud of is The Electric Man.
I've not seen this.
Yes, I Am the Electric Man. It's a great little indie. You can find it. It's all over the place. And that is just a weird drama.
I'm gonna find this.
And we're super proud of it. And it's got out there in a really cool way. And I never consider myself just a horror actor at all. I love sci-fi. I love all the genres. I even love action movies, and I love drama. It's just horror was, back in the day when I first arrived in LA, I remember this, moment. You're trying to get in a scene with some big A-list actor, and you're taking acting classes, and then I remember being in this video store in North Hollywood, and they were playing this movie, and I was just kind of looking up at it and seeing all these horror actors and all no names. And I'm like, hey, this movie doesn't have any name actors in it. It's playing at this theater. It can be rented in this at this place. It's has a barcode. It's legitimate, and there's a bunch of no name actors in it. Like, wow, horror is a very kind of welcoming genre for an actor. So I kind of set my sights on that because of the distribution potential of movies, where I wanted my movies to, like, I didn't want to necessarily do experimental movies that didn't go anywhere. I wanted to do movies that, like, got out there.
Yeah, so people can see them.
And back then there were retail stores. I mean, it was such a thrill, when I got involved with, like, Uli Lamel. I don't know if you remember him, but
I do not.
another German horror director, Dave Sterling.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I actually know. Yeah.
And yeah, he did The Boogeyman,
Mm-hmm.
#1 movie. And, like, Uli had his films in with Lionsgate, and Dave Sterling had his films going to Hollywood Video and Blockbuster. And I'm like, hey man, I want to just get in all these movies that, actually go in stores. I was very grounded at that point in my career because I wanted my movies to not just disappear into the ether. I wanted them to go places that the public can access.
Yeah, I mean, if you're proud of what you're doing, you want people to see it.
Yeah, even when you're not really that proud of it.
Right. Actually, the change from physical release, rentals to streaming. How does that affect you as an actor?
Well, I must say this. It's another good question. As an actor, to me, I mean, the ultimate is to see a movie that's released theatrically.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the ultimate. But I remember, getting in the movie Driller, and that it's me on the cover as some sci-fi monster, and that was released in Hollywood Video. And there's nothing like, as an actor, speaking for myself, there's nothing like seeing your movie on the shelf of a retail store. I just love it. It's just the ultimate. I still have it happen, like with Space Wars, another movie that Joe wrote.
A really fun movie too.
Yeah. Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
Or did yeah,
Yeah, I had the cast on the show for that.
Yeah. I think I was on that show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny that I just remember that. But that was in Walmart, and it's just so awesome to go into a store and see your movie on the shelf where the public can buy it, and you turn it around and there's the name of the actors on the back cover, and maybe your picture on it, or maybe your picture's on the front cover. To me, I feel really bad for young actors that they're not going to be able to experience that. So for me, I love DVDs. I love Blu-rays. I love physical media. I always have. Not just for what it is in terms of all the extras and all the cool stuff you can get, and the fact that it's yours. You never know movies that are on streaming if they're just going to disappear or whatever. I just love to have that physical media, but I also love as an actor to be in a movie where you're on the cover or the back cover or your name is on it. It's just, I love it. So I don't like the fact that it's been disappearing and it's on the way out, but it's still here a little bit. And like Pretty Boy, for instance, Pretty Boy kind of, got the jewel in the crown with Distro getting a Lionsgate release, right? And it's funny because like 20 years before, I got a Lionsgate. That was my last Lionsgate with Uli Lommel, yet another German horror director. So it took me 20 years to get another Lionsgate movie with a German horror director.
You gotta stick with these Germans. Yeah,
I gotta stick with these Germans. That movie did not get a physical release. Did not get a Blu-ray or DVD. They just, streamed it. Which it's kind of interesting because there's nothing like, it's really an achievement to get in Lionsgate distro, but they didn't come out with a DVD, so it was like it was great, but it was also, I love my physical release, like the Brute 76 Blu-ray. That's an incredible release.
Yeah, a big thing I love about the physical releases, I like all the specials and if they have a commentary track and just all those things, because that stuff you really can't get streaming. And plus, like you said, it's just cool to have the slipcover and the actual physical release of the movie.
Yeah, and that Blu-ray release, in fact, let me just grab it. Actually, it's right here.
Oh, sweet.
Gorgeous release, and then it has so many interviews. I'm interviewed, tons of the whole cast, or most of the cast is interviewed, and it's just a gorgeous, doesn't get too much better. So a lot of great things, it's through Cinephobia, and a lot of really great things happened with the physical release of this movie.
Do you do a lot of festivals? Because that's another thing that's great about festivals. It's you can get to see your movie in the theater.
Yeah, tons of film festivals over the years. I love film festivals. I love red carpets. And, most of my movies, I really make a point to make sure the film is going somewhere. Make sure the filmmaker is motivated to get the film either in distro, which is, as a tough thing to pull off, But if not that it goes to film festivals. And All my films go to either festivals or distro or both. So a lot of these Marcel and Joe movies have uh, have done really well distro wise, but they're not really focusing on the film festivals, even though they.
Well, yeah, if you have like an in for the distribution, there might not necessarily be, a reason for them to do the festivals.
That's totally correct. But so many of my other movies, from Apocalypse Love to even Space Wars, I think that got into a bunch, and even got a little theatrical release, and The Electric Man got a bunch, and so many of my other movies throughout the years. Social Distance, even Giantess Attack versus Mecha Fembot, a crazy movie with Jeff Leroy, that got it in another hole in the head.
Nice.
And it won the best sci-fi in San Francisco. We all went and saw it right before the pandemic, and just tons of movies throughout the years that got really great film festival runs and won awards. And
I noticed even a lot of like bigger movies that already have distribution or even gonna have a theatrical run. They do play festivals now, even if it's just a couple. And I think it's to get a little bit of a buzz. And you also get for filmmakers out there, you also get a lot of good like reviews usually come out of festivals.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that, because like A Blind Bargain, that of course you know about, interviewing Crispin. That just did a couple of film festivals, but they were great film festivals, and it won the Best Feature Award at HP Lovecraft Fest in Portland.
Oh, sweet.
So, and it got in Fright Fest.
Yeah, which is big.
Which Pretty Boy had been at, as well as Blind, as well as I think That's a Wrap. So it was my 4th time at Fright Fest in London. So, and I think that's like the best genre fest in England or something like that. So
yeah, it's one of the top ones in the world, but yeah, it's the biggest in the
it's kind of a big deal. So, we were thrilled to have the whole Pretty Boy franchise there, or the sequels.
Yeah.
And as well as some others, and then A Blind Bargain, and that's one of these days, hopefully, if I get another film in there, I'd love to go over there.
Oh, you haven't attended yet?
Oh, no, a couple of the Pretty Boy happened with when the pandemic was happening, and couldn't get over this last time, but 4 times being over there, maybe the 5th time's the charm.
5th time's the charm, right? Yeah. Well, I was just thinking it is. I've actually been there a couple times, but it's a lot closer for me. It's actually about the same flight for me as it is to fly to LA, but from LA to England is a much bigger flight.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, where are you at again?
I'm in Massachusetts, so it's like a 6-hour flight. It's not bad, honestly.
No, it's not that bad at all. Yeah. Probably better than coming to LA. Who knows?
Yeah, it's honestly about the same, really. So
yeah,
and they give you way more. They give you like 3 meals on the international flights instead of like a bag of pretzels. So.
Yeah, they even. I remember I went to France, and I do very bad on flights because I'm kind of a big guy, and I just don't like them. I don't know anyone really likes them, except you can catch up on a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the international flights. They just the flight attendant, he just kept giving me vodka. They don't do that on the domestic flights, so it was okay.
Yeah. See, that's another benefit. You can get some vodka on there.
But I catch up on a lot of really long movies that I missed. Like I had never seen. God, forgive me. What was the big movie with the nuclear scientist guy?
Oh, it played with Barbie. I want to say Oppenheimer.
I never saw Oppenheimer because in the theater, because my bladder could never handle that, and then I just kind of missed watching it. And then it's like, hey, I got 4 hours to kill. Yeah. I have a 12-hour flight, so I put that on along with a bunch of others, and before you know it, the flight is over. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it's it. I wonder how you used to fly before that, because before you used to have to like rent the headphones and
Yeah. I think when we flew before then, we were a lot younger, so I think
it's
maybe you
true.
can deal with whatever when you're younger. But
Mhm.
boy, flying does not agree with me. But we got to do it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I watched, I think it was Green Knight, one of the A24 movies. But yeah, it's same way. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, I never saw this. This is a good time to watch it now.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you can discover movies. They have uh, really fun movies that you just missed, and then you know you watch them like, oh my god, that's so cool, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Because I do actually try to. I see a lot of movies in the theater because it for me it's also the best way to watch a movie.
Oh yes, yeah, same with me.
But sometimes just whatever, it only played a weekend and you missed it, and so
Yeah,
you catch up.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah,
So
but
you have the Brute 1976 hat on, which is pretty sweet. Or
yes,
is it the 86 hat?
actually, this is '86.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just
When
noticed that.
when you cast me in a movie, I not only promote the movie, I promote it so much I literally wear the movie. Um, so that movie is done, and it's coming out hopefully in 2026.
Sweet.
So a lot to look forward to, and uh, you have seen Brute, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Brute's great. Brute 19, yeah. I was a big fan. I thought you were amazing in the movie, not just because you're on here. I thought you were great. I really love that character. I think you were great as Ruby.
Thank you. Uh, Daisy is a like I said,
Daisy, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Ruby, Daisy. I did message you at the time though that I thought you were great in the movie.
I didn't know what you said, but I'm like, was that Daisy? Ruby is a.
Yeah, I'll just edit it
I'll
afterwards.
tell. Well, I'll tell Joe about the name Ruby because that's a
It's a
fun
good name.
name. So, who knows? Maybe that'll show up as a character in one of the Brood sequels. You know, we have big plans for this franchise, or they have big plans. I don't want to be presumptuous, but
Right, right.
you know, hopefully I can be you know, in a lot more of them. But Ruby, I mean Daisy was spawned from Joe's mind and then was kind of curated by Marcel. So you have the insanity of from Joe, and then Marcel has the fashion sense,
Mm,
and also
yeah,
the insanity. So you have two.
a different kind of insanity. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's a kind of the I always refer to them as the kind of the yin and the yang, right? But they both spawned this crazy character, and I was lucky enough to just kind of take the ball and run with it. You know?
yeah. And I say this because Joe's very open about like this being inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is like his.
Yeah.
So what I find really cool and interesting about like the whole family is they're all like kind of like different aspects of Leatherface, like kind of spawned out to their own characters. Like because Daisy's almost like the cross. There's more to her, more to the character, but a lot of it's like you took kind of like the cross dressing elements of Leatherface and then made a whole character off of just like that little part of it. And I thought that was
Uh,
kind of interesting.
yeah, that's great, and that's absolutely correct. You know, the character is kind of like Buffalo Bill is
Mm.
across.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people say it's a trans character. It's not.
Mhm.
Joe didn't write it like that. I didn't play it like that. It's just he's definitely a cross dresser. Um, I think that I really kind of thought about this character, and what I came up with is they're obviously a horrible family, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the time period, 1976, what
Year
I
I was born.
oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What um I think Joe was born then
Yeah,
too.
I believe. Yeah, I think we're the same age. Both be 50 next year. Yeah.
I wonder what your signs are. Um yes, he's going to be 50 next year. I'm going to his birthday party. So
Happy early birthday.
Hopefully I'll survive that. But I had imagined that Daisy was at that year, set in 1976, that he had gone to Vietnam, already from a very troubled, horrible family background. Went to Vietnam. They shipped him over there. He had tremendous PTSD, comes back here and was just shattered. And then discovered, like, old magazines, fashion magazines that influenced him. Maybe got like bootlegged British TV shows where people were dressed up. And in that kind of rural, poverty, like took a real liking towards fashion and dressing up and being influenced by these magazines and TV shows. And then he had all, of course, of that trauma from the war. Now, I say this to Joe, and I don't know if he knows what I'm talking about at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that, but that's how I kind of imagined, Daisy. And, it's interesting, this movie has really gotten out there. So I'm hearing a lot of feedback, and I try to watch all of the reviews and stuff. And one of the things that I think is rather odd to me is one of the critiques, and I don't know how you thought of this. I would like to hear what you think, because what's odd to me, maybe it makes sense to you, is people were complaining about how clean the clothes were that the characters wore in Brute 76. It was an issue for several of these people. My reaction was that Mama Birdie, which is also another great character, and all of them, Daisy, with the background I just said, the kind of the fashion influences that I thought he had, that they had great pride in dressing well, that fashion was a big deal to this family, and that they had, where they lived off the highway in that place, they had infrastructure. They had buildings, they had running water, they had washing machines, they had electricity, they can iron things. It was just something that set them apart from the typical cannibal, homicidal, murderous family.
Yeah. It's not Wrong Turn. So I like that. I also think sometimes when people watch stuff like that's set in another era, they think like, oh, all this stuff is old. But it's not old. And something from 1976 is old today, but in 1976 it wasn't old. It was new. So I know that's a little different idea, but even like sometimes like if it's an era, a period piece, and they have cars from that era, and like they're all like, they look like they're like a beat up, like they're from today, but they would have been a new car at that time. So it's a little weird.
Yeah.
This doesn't really have anything to do with what you're talking about, but I know sometimes people want, like, they only want cars from that year, and it's like, well, people probably had like 10-year-old cars in this era too. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to, if you're making a movie in 72, it could be a 1962 car because someone probably had a 10-year-old car.
Yeah, probably the 1950s or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you're saying though, yeah, that didn't bother me. I didn't even really think about that when I was watching the movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, I watch all these YouTube reviews and read whatever's on the internet about the movie, and that was an interesting critique. People were complaining about the, how ironed and how washed the clothes were. I thought that
was. Well, yeah, and they're not really obviously, like you said, they're killers and everything, but they're not really presented as like they're just like. I know there's a cave in the movie, but they're not like living in the cave. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, they're great structures there, great infrastructure.
Yeah.
But I think that this family had a with the masks and with everything, they had a certain degree of sophistication to them. That isn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre or isn't
Mm-hmm.
Hills Have Eyes was like, you know, just your typical kind of working class family uh, from the suburbs that's going out into the desert and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so when people say that this is, that this movie is just, another like a carbon copy of it, no, I think Brood is very unique in
Oh
the.
yeah, it is. Even when I was talking to her, I didn't want it to make it look feel like that. I'm saying it's just like it's obviously inspired by those movies, but all movies are inspired by something else. The
Yeah,
Hills of Eyes is inspired by old tales of Sweeney Todd, or not Sweeney Todd, but the
yeah.
old cannibal in Ireland or whatever.
Yeah, and just tons of movies, I'm sure, from the 40s and 50s that covered that same subject matter. Those movies did not copyright those themes,
Mm-hmm.
Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. So, and there were no Mama Birdies or Daisies in those two movies.
Yeah.
The movie. I think Brute really stands on its own 2 feet.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to Joe what he thought about like how Daisy comes out? Like, because you said like his original concept, then it goes through Marcel, then it goes through you. So, does he ever talk about like how he felt about your portrayal?
Um, what you just said kind of nailed it. It went through other filters. He had the basic character in the script, which was like I said, a cross dresser,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't think he imagined. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't think he imagined what Marcel then took that and created Daisy with like the Madonna white gloves and the earrings that drove me crazy that would always fall off. I mean, that's not really kind of Joe's thing, but it was again this great marriage of yin and yang of two very different people, where it just the synthesis created this new magic for that character. But I don't think if Joe had to draw out a character study like you would like a screenshot of something before the film, I don't know if he would have imagined that. In fact, when I first went to the script reading, and I saw what I was going to be wearing, I had to kind of rethink the character. Um, when I saw what I was going to be wearing, I started thinking about character background and like this idea of he found fashion magazines and he found bootleg TV shows out where he was, in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the desert. And that influenced him to scrounge around and find clothing like that and to have fashion be part of his life. But I think it really is both those guys, Marcel and Joe, coming up with what became Daisy.
Troy here helping me. Sonny Bean. That's who I was trying to think of. One of the inspirations for Hills Have Eyes, the old legend of Sonny Bean.
Yeah. Thank you, Troy.
Yes, that's my brother. Terrible Troy out there. So,
Yeah.
Brute 1986. Like, how like far from Brute 1976 did you film Brute 1986? Were they like back to back or?
What's kind of amazing is they kind of happened not too far apart. Um there was just this energy where both these movies got done, and I don't know exactly what the time frame was, but it didn't seem too far uh, too much of a wait. And
Did Joe already have the script like done while you were filming the first one, or?
um I don't know about that. I know that Joe writes scripts very quickly. I don't know if I know with the Pretty Boy stuff, he had the prequel done, and I don't know exactly, but and I don't know with 86. I can't. There's been so many movies. I get them all confused. It's almost like being in one big movie. But
Right.
I don't know exactly, but 86 is a whole different flavor. It's a whole different thing. And it's a very different movie, even though it's also it's so combines so much of 76 with it. Rock band, all this great stuff. And it captures really the spirit of the 80s, which I know is a very big deal for Joe. It's a big deal for me. That's where I grew up in the 80s. I love hard rock. I love metal. I love that decade of music. So it's a real kind of treat to be in a movie that celebrates 1986. And somehow Daisy was able to get back in there, which is great. And there's a bigger budget. There's more production value. It's going to be a real treat for everyone, that got into 76.
I'm excited and looking forward to seeing it. And when the trailer comes out, we'll share it on the site.
Yeah.
So I want to mention Sluggo in Ghastly Love of Johnny X. We're going back in time a little bit now. How did that movie come about? How did you get the role of Sluggo?
I remember, and for some of your actors that are watching this or will watch it, I remember I was in this crazy filmmaker's, hanging out with this crazy filmmaker's lair in, way up North Hollywood and way up Lankershim, which is this street that it's one of those streets in LA that the more you go up it, the worse it gets. There's streets in LA like La Brea, whatever, man, you start from a certain point, it's really cool. And you just keep going, and it just gets more and more like a horror movie. And I befriended this guy. He was a great filmmaker in his own right, and he had a warehouse in a real bad part of North Hollywood, and we had all these hopes and dreams of making movies and blah blah blah. And one day his friend came by, and who was an animator for years, and said, "Hey, I know this guy. He's making a movie. Hey, Jed, you want to give me one of your 8x10s?" And I put an 8x10. This was before,
before social media. Yeah.
Before social media and how digital just conquered everything. Was like, yeah, I remember putting the 8x10 with my resume stapled to it, in a big envelope and giving it.
Right.
Physically, actors used to do that.
Yeah, you had to carry them around with you, and
yeah. I mean, I had found it, came back, gave it to him, and then I met through that I met Paul Bonello. I'm doing a big movie. I'm doing a great movie.
That's a good Paul impression, yeah.
Yeah, and met him at Bob's Big Boy, where he likes having, used to like having, and still does, a vanilla malt. And it was like, wow, this is such a crazy movie from a black and white sci-fi musical. And at the time, it was the biggest movie I've ever been in. And but then, they ran out of money. It took a few years. We finished the rest in 2010. Somehow, it was a miracle. All the actors came back. No one had gained 100 pounds. Everyone the same.
Uh-huh.
No one became like a crackhead. At least to my knowledge, at least they looked the same while they were crackheads.
Yeah. Functional crackheads, yeah.
Functional crackhead, very well put. And it was like in the 11th hour. For years, Paula tried to get the finishing funds, and it happened. And it was like the hand of God came down to finish this movie. And then it finished, and it went on its run. It was the lowest grossing movie of 2012.
I don't want to laugh at that. Yeah.
I'll tell you. You want to hear the story of why?
Yes.
came to that, right.
Uh-huh.
So it was at this festival in like Kansas City or Kansas, somewhere in Kansas. And if you won the festival, the award was you get the movie to be screened at a real movie theater, like a mall movie theater in Kansas City or something. So that's incredible, right? You get, well, that's not easy to do, right? So, oh my God, it won Best Feature or something like that, and then it got to have a week-long showing. And well, you know, if you show an indie movie at some random mall movie theater, I mean, how many people are going to go? So,
right.
A few people went, and it made $117, or something like that. But that $117 or whatever it was, it counted as real box office because it was a real movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember reading about Christian Slater was in a movie that made like $235 or something for the year. And it was getting a lot of publicity because it was like number 4 of ranking in the lowest grossing movies of that year. And then people are like, you know, they're making fun of him in the movie, you know, which people love to do. And they were like, hey, he was in the number 4 movie. Who was number 1 that year? And it was The Ghastly Love of Johnny X. So then CBS Morning News or something like that, they got a hold of that story. And they came out to San Francisco. Again, my Bay Area ties. I'm up there again at a film festival that, forgive me, I forget. But they were screening, and they did this whole, you know, like profile on the movie screening there and about Paul. And it was on CBS Morning News, which is kind of a big deal. Or at least back then it was a big deal. It was a very, it was a pretty popular show. And then because of that, all these mom and pops around the country wanted to show the movie. So it started screening at all these movie theaters. And, you know, so that's an interesting.
So eventually it helped it out then. At first it's kind of like,
absolutely.
It's like, oh, this is a cool award. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, we don't really want this. Like,
yeah, I mean, it had done very well. It had been to a ton of film festivals. It was like at like Blob Fest in Michigan or whatever, played with a blob, and it was at a ton of fests. And we had like packed theaters, but like film festivals don't count.
Yeah, right.
For box office.
Mm-hmm.
So the one theater that it really got into was like pure box office, and $117. But the movie is it played at Cinequest, you know, in San Jose, another Bay Area. It played at Dances with Films in LA. It played with a lot of other great movies, and you know, it did very well around the country, even around the world. And Strand Releasing put it out, and you know, it was my biggest film for a while. And then for really too long, I couldn't match that budget for a while. I had to grind away, which I did a lot of great movies, but
yeah. No, and it's a great movie for people out there haven't seen it, and you can rent it streaming, get the physical release. So I'd recommend it. Yep. But very stylized movie. So when you're filming it, I assume you knew it was going to be black and white. But even just like the style of the movie and the acting in the movie, it's all, you know, peculiar. It's all weird. So what was that experience like? And I've had Paul on the show, and he's a character in in his own right. So
Paul is a one and only Paul. There's nobody like Paul out there. You know, the last of the Plus X film, the black and white. I mean, look, when I did Johnny X, you have to understand like where I've come from. I come from, and still kind of am, and will eventually wind up there. I am, running around the supermarket parking lot with a camcorder, guerrilla filmmaking, hearing cop sirens in the distance, wondering if we should run away. That's where I'm from, right? And when I did all those movies with Sterling and all those movies with Uli and all that guerrilla filmmaking and all these other filmmaking, it was like each film got a little bit more production value, a little bit more budget, a little bit more locations that we didn't have to steal, that were like real locations. And it was like this incremental kind of like the bar graph would just slowly going up. And it finally went up the mountain of Johnny X, where for the first time I was in a movie where I was dealing with real professional wardrobe people, like a team of them, real set decorators, real, DPs with their whole crew of camera operators, amazing locations, sets that you could only dream of, So it was my first movie where I was in that real professional realm of all these great, artisans and pros that, like, where I'm like, wow, man, that was one of the first times I really appreciated wardrobe, and I was wearing like 4 layers of wardrobe that were like decades old, so it was, as an actor, it was like, wow, this is really like a very special experience, because I'm working with people that are such great, they have such a love of their craft. And I've always worked with people like that from that time on, but it's another level of craftsmanship that, as an actor, you're like, wow, this is what over $1 million gets you, and you're working with again, not to keep bringing it, but real pros,
it's got a great cast. Actually, one of my favorite people, Kevin McCarthy. Were you around him much filming the movie? What was he like?
I was not around him at all. The day he shot, I wasn't. But my grandfather, I think his favorite actor was Kevin McCarthy. And I grew up, watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved him. My grandfather loved him. So one of the great things about being an actor in LA is you hopefully you get to be in projects with, these people that like your parents love or your grandparents love or were a big deal, or you.
Because he's definitely a guy from like another era, even at at that time.
Oh yeah,
what I mean, like
he was a living legend, and the fact he was in that hat, that deep, in a movie where, look, whatever you think of it, it's a very unique movie. That's kind of the genius of Paul, that he makes movies that nobody else has the cojones to make. I mean, and he gets like these real budgets. It's I always say with Paul, with A Blind Bargain, Johnny X, I was in 2 once-in-a-lifetime movies. And, it's A Blind Bargain is the same thing. I mean, I think my vest that I was wearing was from like the 1920s.
Oh, wow. Did you get to keep any of that? Or?
Oh, no. That's a prized asset of, whatever. We went to this place in the valley that has all the wardrobe, and we were trying on the wardrobe, and you're like, wow, I'm around all this history. I'm around all of this. These vests are, not only older than me, they're older than my parents. They're, so I hope he makes, I know he will, but I hope he makes more movies, because Paul Bennell is one special filmmaker.
Yeah, he's great. And my first movie I saw his was A Blind Bargain. Then I since then went and saw
Oh, you saw Johnny
Johnny.
X after that?
Yeah, yeah. He and so because after Blind Bar, that's cool. When you see movies like from someone you're not really familiar with, because then it's like, oh, I'm gonna go watch all their other stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's great to discover new filmmakers, new
Yeah.
actors, new writers, whatever, and to like. But that is interesting. So Johnny X was, I'm sure, it is a pretty big departure
Oh
from.
yeah, but like, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's completely different, but kind of what you're saying, it's unique, and you can tell, like, it's made by someone who wants to make something different, not like a run of the mill thing.
Yeah, and the song and dances, and Ego Plum doing the amazing soundtrack, and
Yeah. Who?
that's a whole other thing. Just being around all that level of professionalism with that whole side of it. Um, it's I was just kind of in awe of being around all these great creatives, which is, to me, the ultimate is to just be around and collaborate with and create with other um, artists and creatives. To me, that's what makes me feel the most alive. You know.
Yeah, and I assume I speak from experience too, not like on the level of you, but when you're around like people that it also elevates you.
Oh, it does. It's so inspiring, and it brings all you have prepared for and created in your life, and you're matching wits with all these other people that have dedicated their lives to this, and it creates something kind of magical. Not to sound a little cheesy or whatever, but um, it's a special thing, and that's why filmmaking is very special, because you have all these people that are of such different backgrounds and different skill sets and different artistic uh, talents that all come together to make this movie. I mean, filmmaking is like involves such different uh, people and
Mhm.
artists. So, and when you do it at a grand scale like that, where there's resources and there's um, uh, things that only a bigger budget can bring to the table, it's a fun experience. Unfortunately, doesn't happen all the time or as much as I would like, but
Mhm.
you know.
But so, unfortunately, Paul makes awesome stuff. Unfortunately, he takes a lot of time between the movies sometimes. So, did you did you stay like in contact with him between Johnny X and A Blind Bargain? Like, did you guys
Yeah.
became friends and
Uh,
you hang out or talk?
that's another very cool question. Is that me and Paul are great friends, and I make a lot of friends in the industry with filmmakers and people. It's a very social uh, thing for me, and because I love artists, you know, I want to be around artists. I want to be around other creatives, and yes, we've become great friends. We take walks all the time. We hang out. We have coffee. We have meals. We have celebrations. My whole thing with him is I always say for years from 2004 to 2010, hey, what's news? What's news? What's news? And he would say, this is happening and this is happening. And then I would say it so much and all the time. Sometimes he would say, hey, what's news? He goes, there's no news right now. There's no news. And I do that with Joe a lot and Marcel. And I always want to keep the momentum going. But yes, me and Paul are great friends, and I was at his wedding with
Oh, cool.
incredible wife Claudia, whose artwork is in the movie A Blind Bargain, who also has a role in the movie, who's an amazing creative. They're like a perfect couple, and he's just become a great friend, and I can't wait to see him really kind of blow up, because I think Blind Bargain is going to turn a lot of heads, and people are really going to notice him. And I actually call him the general, because when he's on a set, He's like freaking General Patton or someone like. He's a general, and what I refer to myself, and he liked, by the way, he liked general. When you call him a general, he likes that. He likes that.
Yeah, who wouldn't probably?
And I say, you know what I am? He's, what? I'm your secret weapon. I'm your no-name actor that, kills it, And so we work really well together. And I just know that there's the biggest stuff is right ahead of Paul. So hopefully,
Yeah, I love The Blind Bargain. So if I don't know how you can see that yet. I don't know if it's still playing festivals, but when it's out there, I really recommend it to folks. And just the idea, as you talked about like an artsy fartsy guy and stuff like that. The idea, not even just the movie and stuff, but the idea of like this is a reimagining of a lost Lon Chaney movie. Does that hold like any special like value?
Yeah, I mean, to be rooted in history like that, and what I think it's just people have their ideas about remakes, and I love a lot of remakes because to me a lot of them are like the Manchurian Candidate. They're really like retellings.
Right.
Now,
well, I don't want to interrupt you, but a real good point, like exactly what you're saying there, is the Kevin McCarthy, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because like the 70s one's arguably the best one. And is it a remake, or is it it might even be a sequel, because you've got the Kevin McCarthy cameo at the beginning that bridges the two.
That's right. I mean, there are a few, like I guess the Psycho one, right? That was just
right, where it's just like, yeah, it's a very even just an odd like idea, I think, to like, let's just redo this exactly like bit by bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if in all the remakes that like for instance, I mean, we're talking The Hills Have Eyes. Like I loved the remake because it was so different. It brought in that whole nuclear base thing, and it was so different from the original, but it was able to get, I'm talking like a producer now, was able to get greenlit because of the brand. They had the brand name there, so it got the finance mark, all that stuff. And I've never been as judgmental as others about remakes, because I think a lot of them are.
We won't even have John Carpenter's a thing without remakes, or I mean, of course there's too many of them, and a lot of them aren't good. But you could say about any movie, though. There's a lot of movies that aren't good, if they're not remakes. So
there's a reality to getting things done, right? That as you get older, you kind of realize, all right, well, they have the brand. Hopefully, they're bringing something new to it. They're doing something more interesting to it, and sometimes it doesn't work, like the Michael Bay Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I just didn't like it, but a lot of people did, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when you think it doesn't work, it creates a new audience, which you want to keep that Chainsaw Massacre thing going, But what's interesting about A Blind Bargain is, the movie's lost. It's gone. It was, what was it, melted down for the silver or whatever.
Yeah, and I think most people, when they think, oh, Lost Lon Chaney, it's good. Oh, you're doing London After Midnight. But and I was not even aware of A Blind Bargain like the original. And then again, I started to research it, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of lost, not just lost movies, but there's a lot of lost Lon Chaney movies. So
there's a lot of lost Chaney movies, and it was a different business then. It was a different culture then, where the movies would have their run, as you probably know. There's a book, Blind Bargain, and I just kind of devoured it. And when they're done, they would throw the movies away, basically, or they would melt them down for the silver. It was a different. We don't do that now. Say what you want about the movie industry. We keep movies, we archive them, we make sure there's on different, we preserve them.
You probably don't know this, but I should do a pro wrestling podcast, and a lot of like old territory wrestling, because they didn't think about like, oh, people are going to care about this years later. So a lot of stuff like the Los Angeles territory and stuff, um, they would just tape over it because tape over like
Yeah.
for the next week's TV show. So it's like all lost.
Yeah, and all that. Think about those wrestlers. All of that blood, sweat, and tears, and destroying your knees, and everything
Yeah.
they did is just gone. They got paid for that night,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. But with a reimagining, that's like cool because it's like beyond a remake. It's like, well, what was it? What would it have been like? And so it leaves it up to the imagination of the filmmaker and his idea of what that would be like. And so being in a something that's so historical like that, Lon Chaney, particularly with that role of Logos, and even that role was, it wasn't like the stereotypical role of what you think. There was different hair, there was different. It was an interesting interpretive role, and just the story of it was took on its own identity. So it is really a reimagining, you know.
It's a super cool movie. I really recommend for people. And like you said, your character, it's different than what you expect, but it also has like some of that like classic kind of like the heavy from a horror movie, like an old movie back in the day. So I think especially for movie fans, which just seems like a silly thing to say, you're probably a movie fan if you're watching this, but for movie fans especially, I think this is like a really special film.
Yeah, I think it really is a treat for movie buffs and for people that are, even if you're not really into the history of movies,
Sure, yeah.
that it keeps the kind of certain traditions going
Mm-hmm.
and certain history kind of brought to life again. That it's based in something.
Yeah, so like, yeah, you don't need to know about Lon Chaney
No.
or that this, but I just think that adds like a specialness to the movie for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the fact that it's rooted in something, but yeah, you don't, to really enjoy the movie, you don't have to be an academic,
Right, right, yeah.
Who Lon Chaney was, or you can even just kind of briefly YouTube him and just get the gist, and then see this really amazing kind of you know contemporary retelling of what the filmmaker thought, and the writers thought that movie might have been, and it's just
Hmm.
fun, you know.
And Crispin Glover, this is not a hot take. He's great. He's a great actor. He's great in this. And this is kind of how I started to know him a little bit. I can't say I'm like great friends with him, but like I talked to him and
Well, you talked
I've
for 4 hours, right?
yeah, exactly. And and so how that happened real quick was we did the blind bargain interview, which was what's a press day interview. So it's supposed to be like 10 minutes, but it went like 40, 45. And then eventually the PR woman's like, we have to cut this. I was like, I knew we were too long and I try
Yeah.
not to do that, but I could tell it was going well. And afterwards, she even said like it was going really well. So I didn't want to cut it. And then me and Crispin just started to talk off air. And then the next interview, no one was there to yell at us. So it was like it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, I've gotten through most of that, and
Yeah, you have to take it in chunks. Yeah,
yeah,
next time you're on a
I
plane. Yeah,
I could just put it on in the background, whatever. But it's like, no, I mean, when I'm ready, I'm gonna do the next half an hour, and then whatever. I want to kind of savor it. So I'm waiting for when I'm in the right mood for it. But I've gotten through a bunch of it, and it's great. You know.
yeah, and I don't know if get a chance if you've had a chance to see his new movie, which I recommend Blind Bargain 100%. But his movie that he makes, No, You're Wrong, and you can only see it, with him in person touring around. Uh, I've seen it twice now, and I loved it. And he is a guy that you could tell the art of filmmaking is very important to him. That's more important than making money, or else he probably wouldn't make movies the way he does.
Oh no, he's the real deal. Um, I Paul saw the movie. He went to it. I couldn't go, but he loved it. you know. And also, he did this very interesting. I saw this trailer of a movie he did after a Blind Bargain. It was like in Europe, and he did some interesting, film in Eastern Europe somewhere or something like that. So he has a very interesting career. Crispin was. You never know what it's going to be like to work with actors like that, and he was just really surprisingly just down to earth. He was very transparent, very forthcoming about acting and the challenges of it, and how he really needs to concentrate, which I really need to concentrate, and I was like, wow, this famous actor is, not having some kind of weird ego thing around me, or weird trying to come across like he's up here and I'm not there. He was really just one of the actors, and was really down to earth. And it was even like, hey man, I went through. He told me, he went through my credits, and man, you have a lot of credits, and like in kind of a complimentary way.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I hope he's not looking too closely at some of those credits, But he was very it was a real pleasure to work with him, because he was one of the actors, and you never know if you're gonna deal with that with some of these celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there or anything, but watching his performance, it doesn't seem like a guy who just showed up. Like,
oh, no, not at all.
He cared about it.
He definitely cared about it, and his performance, as you probably agree with, was great.
Mm-hmm.
People love his performance, and he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I remember saying bye to him, and giving him some books about Borges, that famous director. I think he's French or Italian, whatever he is. And he's almost like he's so serious about filmmaking. He's like an academic almost.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just a very serious actor, very serious filmmaker. And it's great to see that, because it's beyond being a professional. It's like you could tell he's devoted his whole life to this, and it's not some gimmicky career. It isn't. It's
Mm-hmm.
It's the real deal to him.
Mm-hmm. And Paul's really good at casting his movies, because everyone in the movie, and I don't like to use the term like small roles, but like, even people you only see for a little bit, like they stand out and they're interesting. And that was really fun to watch.
Yeah. The cast of both these movies, Johnny X and this one, are incredible, and I'm sure you agree. Like, wasn't the Johnny X cast just so
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
amazingly casted, and
Yeah.
there were so many phenomenal performances in A Blind Bargain, and the whole cast. There wasn't, of course, one weak link. I mean, everyone brought something to the table, and you could tell there was this hidden hand of casting, where all the actors fit into the role so well, and again, that's a treat for an actor to be in a really incredible professional cast like that.
So yeah, I definitely recommend A Blind Bargain. That it's probably going to be on. I have to figure this out for in the next couple weeks, but it was one of my favorite movies of the year. I really liked it a lot.
Wow, that's great to hear. Well, it's going to be. They don't tell me too much, but I think it might have a limited theatrical in next year.
Oh, sweet.
And it's going to do something next year.
Yeah.
So and maybe like be in movie theaters around the country. So
like I go to the movies a lot, and besides like your big blockbustery movies, like movies that do play and people do, like there are people in the cinema are like these independent horror films, and some like weirder stuff, like some weirder stuff plays like at the theaters more than they used to.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like a commercial or anything, but I have I like AMC a lot.
Yeah, that's I used to. Yeah, I always say this too, and I think people like think I like I have a sponsorship or something. But the AMC Stub Club, I love it. I mean, you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
see 4 movies a week.
What's really funny about that? I say the same thing with people. Like I sound like a commercial,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't fret about the price of movies because of stubs. So I just
Yeah, it's like $22 a month, and
yeah. And you go. I think they raised it to 4 movies a week.
yeah, it used to be 3, and I would go and see 3 on the same day. Now sometimes it's a little hard for me to schedule 4 in one day, but
I think I've done the 3 a week thing once.
uh-huh.
But I still go a lot, and so I don't care about the price of movies because I just go to it and I
I
love it.
agree. Yeah.
In Burbank, there's like 3 different AMC's, so there's like 40 movies,
Uh-huh.
and they're smart. Not only do they do well with that app and that deal, but they realize that indie movies are like something that they should be part of their business plan.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a lot of odd movies,
Yeah.
a lot of weird things and indie stuff that you're like, wow, a chain is doing this. So,
It's really sort of the same idea as I go to the one in Boston, and so it's like the great big one in Boston has like 18 or 20 screens, and
yes,
so they show like all the main, but then they have like a bunch of weird indie stuff, and then
yeah,
there's 3 other smaller ones all in the same area, and I go and I look at all of them because like one particular one they actually show a lot of Indian films, which I love, like Bollywood stuff.
yeah,
I discovered it because of the AMC app. I just went to see one once, and I was like, "Oh, I love this. This is really fun." There's always a big song and dance number, and it's just a good
I love
time.
indie films. Yeah,
And then one of them shows a lot of like Asian stuff, and so they show a lot of like some weird Asian horror movies that I've never heard of because it's these new like indie Asian horror stuff. So yeah,
oh,
and a lot of weird indie films that like I either saw at a festival or I hadn't seen before, and like you just wouldn't think would play at a chain theater. Exactly what you're saying.
it's a real amazing thing. That whole, again, I don't really get excited too often about corporations and what they,
Right. Yeah.
but for whatever reason, they just nailed it with their app. And it's funny about the Asian horror, which is I've always followed, I've always loved. I had a friend of mine. He's more of a mainstream actor, and he was telling me because he knows I'm into horror movies and everything. He's like, "Hey, I saw this movie on Netflix that was called Audition because I thought it was about it was just about an acting movie." And I'm like, "Oh, that's that Asian movie from the '90s. You remember that movie? 2000,
Yeah.
whatever." And it's like he was like horrified.
Like, yeah. Super graphic movie.
What
Yeah.
the hell is this? And I'm like, oh, I know that movie. Yeah. Asian
Well,
horror. I've seen many over the years. It's
yeah.
really,
What was it? I can't believe I can't think of it. It won best movie in the Oscars a few years ago.
yeah, the Korean, South Korean.
Yeah, so I saw it at AMC like it was either like 6 months, almost a year before like it blew up. And I
Yeah.
just like, I just went to see it because I go see like you see 3 or 4 movies a week. At the time I think it was 3. And another good thing, again, that we're not being paid by AMC, is
No,
a lot of times I'll see stuff because I'm like, oh, I have an extra move pass. I'm here. I'll go see something that I probably wouldn't go see normally.
no.
And sometimes it's like, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I probably wouldn't have went to see this at the theater, and it turns out to be like my favorite movie that week.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny? Again, I don't mean to sell. We're not sponsored. You're not sponsored. I'm not
No.
sponsored. But I remember I went with Joe actually to how they do that movie that it's like a secret.
Yeah. I
So
love that actually.
and we didn't know what it was because
Uh-huh.
it's like a secret, and then it became like this horror movie. I forget what it's called. I could probably look it up somewhere, but it was like 2 couples at a house, and it was really good. It was excellent, like great horror movie, and I didn't even know. Like I would never even think to see it.
Right.
So yeah, I think that AMC should sponsor
Yeah, we
Go.
should definitely look into this. Yeah, yeah, we did. My brother and I went to see the one, and it was a big giant spider horror movie. Scream Unseen, I think they called it for it because it was you knew it was gonna be a horror one, but I didn't know what it was gonna be. It was
Yes.
like an Australian giant spider movie. It was really fun.
Yeah, I think it's important more and more, and I'm sure you know this, is that like there's a whole world out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's not just the U.S.
Uh-huh.
movie. I mean, there's like all these movies from all around the world, and these like crazy, you know, foreign
And
uh,
it's cool
industry.
because because they're made by different cultures. So Asian like horror in particular, like if you watch an American movie that's about a ghost, there's always a plot point in the movie where they have to convince somebody in the movie that ghosts exist. But that doesn't really even happen in the Asian horror movies because their culture believe like everyone believes in spirits. So
Yeah,
like that's not something they even have to deal with. Like people, oh yeah, spirits exist, so we don't need this whole subplot of the guy finally believes that this is something
yeah.
unnatural.
He has this like growth that he sees. There's this supernatural reality. It's not like
Mhm.
um yeah, and I think the best way to really understand a culture is through its film. You know, whether it's like some Eastern European country or wherever, it's like you really get to know the culture of the place and what it's really all about through its films. And like I said, there's a whole world out there, you know.
Yeah, and that's another cool thing about the festivals. I get to see a lot of stuff that I probably would never see because it's from another culture, or short films. Also, it's gonna be your only chance to see them with an audience in a theater.
The last seeing you say that because last year, after a blind bargain, I did just a bunch of short films last year. Um, I played a boxing referee in this short, The Numbers That Mattered. I was in this amazing like Blade Runner sci-fi, a mind control crazy movie project in Tarot, The Yellow Pill.
I
And
watched the trailer of that today. It looked really cool.
how did
Yeah.
you on what, on Instagram or?
I found it on YouTube because I was looking up the trailers for like the movies that you had coming up, and some of them were they didn't have trailers yet. I was curious, and that one has a trailer.
Yes, it just it just came out. Oh, the filmmakers are gonna love that. It's such a cool film. Great production value, amazing locations, great actors. The director, the producer is like they're just amazing. These two women, Monique and Tracy, and then we had all these great uh, uh, actors, and it's like what I love about these films too is that it's always great to have a foothold or even a pinky toe in the underground.
Yeah, yeah.
Great to want to be in bigger movies and even movies that can distro,
And
but
then yeah, and another thing is like a lot of those filmmakers, they're like the future Marcel Waltz and stuff. That these are the not all of them, but some of these people will go on to do cool stuff after that.
oh yeah, I mean Monique, the director, I see her in the chat. She's amazing. I mean, it's great to find new talent as an actor because you're an actor. We're only as good as the director. I mean, you have to have good actors. You have to have great actors, great. But the one that quarterbacks it, you got to have talent. You got to find those directors out there. And oh, Monique is fabulous. And you know, Tracy, the producer and the writer of it, it just we speak the same language with our weird theories and everything. And yeah, this short is going to be awesome. And watch out for these two.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of short films. because sometimes I think like a movie just it should be as long as it needs to be. Which so I don't mind if it's like super long, but sometimes you see a movie that doesn't need to be super long, and then sometimes you could tell your story in 5 or 10 minutes, and that's just all it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. Like certain years, like last year, after I did my two big features, Blind Bargain and Brood, I'm like, okay, when's the next big feature? And it's like, no, no, Jed, the universe is telling me, no, you're going to do a bunch of shorts this year. And I did all these. Sean Heights did this, The Carver, which was so interesting. And then what we just talked about, the Project Intero, and there's like last year was a shorts year, you know.
And for like I said, for people who love film festivals, don't overlook the shorts blocks. It's a really good time, and you're gonna see like a lot of things from like a lot of different people, which is fun. And if you find one you don't like, it's short, so the next one will be coming up quick. So.
Yeah, and also too, it's a great way for filmmakers, to get into fest because
Mhm.
they almost serve it as the main course is the feature, and then they want to have little appetizers, at
Yeah,
fest.
because sometimes they'll pair them up, like a short will play before the feature, or there'll be the short blocks. That's how I got involved in doing anything. Is I made a short film, and then I went around to the festivals with it, and at a couple of them it played before another movie, and then some of them it was in a block of other shorts.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's great to be at fest, which I love festivals. I mean, if I have a film at a film festival, I want to get the pass and do
Mm-hmm.
all the fest to see who's out. Like it Dances with Films with Apocalypse Love that was there. This great feature by Vera Vanguard. I'm like, give me the pass. I want to go. I'm going to show up to all these.
I like that too because I won't name any people, but I've been to festivals where someone will show up and they literally will be there for their movie, then they'll leave.
Yeah, oh, that's horrible. I've never
Yeah.
liked that. I think that's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I get
like,
maybe you can't be there all 3 or 4 days, but
oh yeah,
you
yeah.
can be there for more than one movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really with Dances with Films. I got on that subway and kept going, and also too, you want to network, you want to meet,
Yeah, it's huge.
and it's like you said. I love the blocks of shorts, and they seem to do that more now than what they used to do, which I also liked, which was the appetizer with the paired up with the
Yeah.
which I maybe I'm wrong, but they seem to be doing less of that now,
Mm-hmm.
more of the block of shorts. But I like either one. I like to have a little appetizer before I settled into a feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's cool because sometimes you start to think like, why was this paired up? Is there a connection here? And
Yeah.
it just works. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like why why was this horror feature paired up with this romantic comedy?
Right. And then if they'll tell you, oh, it worked time wise. You're like, oh, I thought there was a deeper meaning than this.
Yeah. So yeah, festivals are fun. I'm glad you go to a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm a big
a lot
fan.
in Boston and the East Coast.
Yeah, not a ton, honestly, but yeah, we have our big one, Boston. My favorite one, Boston Underground Film Festival. That's every March, I think. But,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that sounds familiar. I might have had a film there over the years, but I figured there'd be a lot in Boston, so there's not as many.
there's a few. There's that. That's kind of the big one. Independent film. In the Boston Independent Film Festival, BIFF, they call it. Shawnee. I guess there are. Yeah, Shawnee Film Festival.
Yeah.
The Wicked Queer Film Festival, which is a fun one.
Yeah, and I'm sure the other cities aren't so far away. If you want,
Yeah.
or whatever.
So I do at a friend of mine. I saw your voice in some of their films. Now Sophie Godin, Zeb Godin, like Animator, Ouija Mummy. So how did
Oh, that's funny. Boy, you really know you know your underground. That's
yeah. So I used to well, I still am friends, but I used to see him all the time at Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival.
yeah, Buffalo. What Seb and Seb Godin, right?
Yeah, Zeb Godin and Gregory Lamberson was he runs that.
Yeah, those guys, I just kind of met them through Facebook, and they're great, really great enthusiasts, and make things happen, and they're very talented. And boy, that's funny that you know those guys.
Yeah, so I was happy to see that. 'Cause I've
Yes,
seen both those movies, but at the time I might not have. It might have been before I knew you, and plus your voice. You're not actually in the movie.
yes, yeah,
I
just
could. I would wager money because I know Zeb that he was a big fan of the Ghastly Love of Johnny X. That really seems like their kind of movie.
oh yeah, you know what? Actually, we haven't talked about this, but my infamous movie that they knew that everybody knows around the world is Amazing Bulk. Talked about that.
Yes, Amazing Bulk. Yeah,
So so excuse me, let me just
which I believe there's even an action figure.
there's an action figure, and there's this guy here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
That is a great likeness.
you know a famous 8x10 of me shooting at the purple dinosaur.
Yeah, this is another. It's in. I actually had it in my notes right after Ghastly Love because I was like, they're like completely different, obviously, but they're also like both very stylized, movies in their own way. So
Well, what's funny is that I realized they both kind of came out at the same. Uh, Bulk came out in the mid 2000s, but it's had a lot of different incarnations.
mhm.
But it got another release in around when Johnny X came out. So I was in this very classic, sophisticated cult movie, and then I was in this. A Bulk is just a crazy movie that has taken on global, you know,
Yeah,
repercussions, if you will. But I think that Seb and Dustin, his
Dustin. Yeah, yeah.
that they really knew a lot of my movies because they really are into all of the horror genre, like the axe grinders and a lot of my earlier horror movies. Like they know their stuff. But I think Bulk, they really knew Bulk, like a lot of people.
All right. Okay.
So,
Yeah. What was that like being painted purple?
um, you're talking about Bulk.
Yeah, Bulk. I don't know. Maybe you've been painted purple other times. I'm not sure.
Bulk was one of those movies where, I did some. It's kind of what indie film is all about, right? You do some random weekend at the backyard of someone's house, and it becomes a global phenomenon. I mean, that's why we do movies, right? One of the reasons we do movies is to have them go places, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was a movie that was like done at a green screen in the mid 2000s. Again, that time period where that was very active in LA, and there was a lot of excitement. And Dave Sterling came to me and said, like, hey, this movie's done only on a green screen, which back then was a big deal. Not many indies were doing, like real indies were doing movies completely from A to Z, from start to finish on a green screen. And then it's still around, man. It's on some of the biggest shows on YouTube. It's still happening. I don't know why conventions haven't like embraced it and brought us along, but I mean, it's I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but it's getting some exciting things are happening next year.
Oh, really? All right. Well,
Yeah,
maybe we will do an Amazing Bulk show in 2026.
some real exciting things. So absolutely. But all these years later, it's still a big deal. And you should see the 8x10 I have of me shooting the purple dinosaur. So
I am
I,
interested. Yeah.
I hope to be a convention fixture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be 100%. Now we brought up a couple times, like so Paul's a friend of yours. and your whole the troop with you and Marcel and Sarah and Joe and everybody. And sometimes I will see people say, "Oh, they'll say it as a negative," which I never understand. This idea of like people working together, but when you find like a group of people that you like, you have fun with, and like you can collaborate with, and you trust, I think that's like, hey, I want to keep working with these people. And you
Yeah,
see it outside of indies too, like
yeah,
um, a lot of big directors work with the same people a lot.
yeah. I mean, look, Neal, like this is the ultimate. I mean, the the real kind of, you know, primordial, artistic experience. It's always about an ensemble. I mean, all the great little theater companies and regional theater companies, um, they were an ensemble, meaning you do, and I've been in theater companies like this where you do multiple shows with a lot of the same people, and that's the fun of it. That's where real creativity happens, and that's what I love about what Joe and Marcel and Sarah created was this opportunity to be in like a little theater company. And whether it's Martin Scorsese or any of these other filmmakers that use a lot of the same actors, it's they did it ultimately because there there's the creativity involved with that is so uh, profound, um, of working with people that you understand, you get to know, you understand their idiosyncrasies, you understand their strengths and their weaknesses, and instead of, which I don't have a problem with because that's how a lot of the industry is run, is like a gun for hire, for lack of a
Right.
better expression. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how things get done. But if you can make it special, and ideally you want to work with other creatives that you can really collaborate with and grow with and create different manifestations of magic with. So that's what was really cool about, more than anything else about Marcel and Joe and all these movies that we made, is that we had something like that. And it's not that easy to pull off because, yes, directors work with a lot of the same actors they like, but, to pull that off, again and again and again, there's a lot of politics in bigger movies, and it's not that easy to do that, you know. So
Yeah. And so you still have fun making movies. It seems like you're having a good time.
yeah, I'm having a great time, and that's why I do this, to have fun. And you know, to segue into something I wanted to talk about, which
Mm-hmm.
this show is very positive and amazing, and I was wondering if I want to even bring it up, but I wanted to ask you something, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
But like, do you think, because so much of this is having fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the fans out there, or the critics, the YouTubers, the community at
Mm-hmm.
large, do you think that people are having as much fun as they used to? Or do you feel that there's a certain kind of like unmistakable behavior pattern of, I don't know, negativity? Like what you know this better than I do. This
Yeah, well, really, the internet definitely has a lot of negative. I mean, it always has, but it does seem like more. I think some of it is. I think the algorithms like hate watching or saying negative things about things, like it does get more hits. So I think that's part of it.
Oh yes, absolutely. And many
But
other people have talked about that I've talked with, and you just nailed it.
Yeah, I see it on the wrestling side too. Like, like a lot of the people will just like, and it's never just like, oh, I didn't really like this very much. It's always like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I always think, there's like levels of, sometimes a movie's just not that great. It's not the
Oh
worst
yeah.
thing that I've ever seen in my life, and I've wasted, an hour and a half that I'll never get back.
I will say this, and I wanted to bring this up because when I come out with movies, I like to say I always entertain the public, and then the public entertains me with feedback and reviews and everything. But I will say this about the indie world / horror world, because I think indie is as much of horror in terms of the indie world as there's a lot of great little indies that aren't just horror movies. They're quirky, creative things that are not of that genre. But do you remember in Rocky, the movie Rocky, where Burgess Meredith says to Rocky, he goes, the worst thing that ever happened to you as a fighter. And Rocky goes, what? Yo, Adrian, what is it? And he goes, you got civilized. Do you remember that scene?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I've seen Rocky many times.
Okay. So just bear with me. I'm getting to my point. I feel that horror movies, which have always been on the fringe and I think will always be there, and low budget guerrilla indies and whatever, like, I just don't think that they're for the realm of film snobs, of snobbery. I just don't. I don't think these movies are built for it. And I think that the more I see is not only a certain level of hostility and toxicity and hate and all this stuff. And like you said, the algorithm is a part of it. But I think that film snobbery has reared its ugly head more and more. And I want to remind people out there to have fun with these movies.
Yeah, I think that's why the term elevated horror, like, they created, because then it could be like, oh, I like horror, but I like elevated horror, which I like a lot of those movies, but I do not like that term because it's very snobbish. And it's like, and it also, let's be honest, those kind of movies have always been around. I mean, you could say Rosemary's Baby is elevated horror and all these things.
Yeah.
And when I, growing up, some of my favorite movies were stuff like Basket Case and The Stuff. And are they technically masterpieces or whatever? I mean, you could say yes or whatever, but I like them because I just had fun watching them.
There you go.
And a Taxi Driver, I say this a lot, like Taxi Driver and Basket Case are like two of my favorite movies. I've watched both of them many times. Do I know one is probably like a better movie than the other? Sure, whatever. But they both gave me like equal amounts of pleasure. Like, I love both of them. And it depends what kind of mood I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, so like you're saying, you're being like I agree, like, oh, this movie, it doesn't have, like, for one thing, when people bring up like a budget as a negative, it's like, well, that's the money they had.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they had $20 million, they would have made something, but you can't, I don't think you can really judge a movie on that. I don't think that's very fair. I mean,
well,
if someone has a certain amount of money, that's what they can make the movie for.
Yeah, and also I think that these movies, whether they're no budget or low budget or micro budget or low budget for Hollywood, isn't even low budget in the indie world.
Yeah, it's a very broad term. Low budget, or independent even.
I think a low budget movie in the Hollywood system is like $3 or $4 million, or probably
right.
That was $3 or $4 million a while ago, so it's probably even more than that now. They don't even make $4 million movies anymore. So the thing is that, like, these movies are not built to be put under a microscope. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, in this show, because your show is very inclusive. It's very objective. It never really attacks movies. It's a great show. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I try not to ever really.
yeah,
Um, I think if it's a giant movie, maybe it's fair game. But honestly, like
absolutely.
if it's an independent movie, like there's lots of stuff I don't like. I just don't. Honestly, I would rather say it's not for me, but it's probably
There you
for someone
go.
else. Yeah.
For not to get off on a tangent, but like I really didn't like the last Superman movie. I just
Hmm.
didn't like it, but even then, I mean, I for the indies and the people making movies for $20,000 or $20
Right. Right.
or 80,000 or 50,000 or 120,000 or 250K. It's like this is like a very there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of tough things to do, and it's just not built to be put under like I said, to be put under a microscope. And it seems like in the 2000s, I'm kind of dating myself now, but in the 2000s, when you were also watching movies, when digital filmmaking was like getting married to mainstream distribution and movies were kind of getting out, there was more of an excitement, and there was less being the hypercritical
Hmm.
film critic. And I think that people should remind themselves to start having fun with movies more. And uh, because I think, for instance, like Brute 76, that movie has a lot going for it. Even if you don't like it, there's props that are really cool. You know,
Yeah, it's cool characters. Yeah.
there's performances, there's locations. It almost like teaching people how to have fun with these movies again. Like, think of a drinking game to have with movies. It's like, I really hope that people stop trying to be Siskel and Ebert too much, you know, and start focusing on like having fun with these crazy movies.
Hmm.
They're
I
not
mean,
going
I think we've probably all seen these people that they'll be like, "There's never been a good movie since like the '80s or something," and I'm just like, "Come on!"
to,
Like, or
you know,
I also even see like, I'm not saying everyone has to like Terrifier. There's reasons why you can't like whatever movie, but I do see people who say like, they don't like Terrifier because like there's not really like a big plot, and I'm like, was there really a big plot in most of like the if
no.
you're a slasher movie fan, like was there a huge plot in like Friday the 13th part,
Yeah.
5 or whatever, like,
I mean, people are talking about character development with like Brute 76. I'm like, well, what was the character development like in Hills Have Eyes and Chainsaw Massacre?
right,
Great
yeah,
as they were, it's like, if you really want extensive character development, I really think movies are like a locomotive, man. If they're on a bullet train, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, you got to get that thing going. If you want to get a lot of character development, honestly, I think a novel is a better,
yeah, or a TV or a series or something.
or a series.
Yeah.
That's a better one, So, I think that it's important to kind of recalibrate in the horror community. Let's start having fun with these movies again. Um, it's not the realm of necessarily intellectuals or overly intellectual or overly academic. You know,
Yeah.
it's a fringe thing. It's a lowbrow thing that I think really can have more of an intellectual punch than a lot of bigger mainstream movies. It's very
Yeah,
powerful.
and if those are the movies that you want to watch, it's totally fine. But like, why even watch something that doesn't fit like that? Oh, what you're looking for, you know?
With like Scream Queens and with God Love Them and what
Yeah,
I do, like Mass Killers. And
right.
I just think that like people have gotten a little bit too critical, a little bit too intellectual, and Guys, get a keg and start doing a drinking game. Amazing Bulk. I think that spawned many.
Yeah.
Not to advocate drinking, even though I'm drinking my, whiskey here, but like whatever. It's like have a party. Invite friends over, have fun. The horror genre has always been about that. And that's just my message to.
I agree 100%. And I know you can't always do this, but yeah, if you watch especially horror movies or comedies with like a group of friends, like they're meant to have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. It's built for it.
Yeah.
Whereas what it's not built for is to be under the microscope of a very tough intellectual critic. It's just not built for it. It's not the right thing. Other movies maybe are,
Yeah, like
Oppenheimer or just, what SAG sends you, the movies, that are up for Academy Awards. You can do that to that. But like, horror movies are just, man, they're as disturbing as they can be, and as they can be really fun. So I hope people that watch this are like, yeah, maybe like, well, it's my opinion, it's what yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not saying that. Of course, you can hate whatever you like and love whatever you like, but like and dislike and whatever. But try to remember to have fun.
I agree. And yeah, there's plenty of stuff in the world that's not fun. The movies are here to have fun with.
Well, that's another wonderful. Yeah, plenty of stuff, even from your job that you have to go to, or whatever stuff you're obligated to do, and then plus all of the stuff out there going in the world where the horror movies are actually an escape from real life horror.
Right.
That's where we're at. So let's have fun, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been awesome, and we should do this again. And Jed, so you've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We mentioned the shorts, Brute 86, and probably sometime next year. Where can people follow you to see what you're up to?
Well, I think my best place is just Instagram. Jed Rowen, Instagram. That's a real. That's a lot of big actor propaganda. Where you see me winning all the time in life. So that's wonderful. Also, my Facebook, Jed Rowen. Come see what I'm doing. All of my social medias is 100% dedicated to, what I'm doing with as an actor and occasionally other actor things, but it's nothing else. It's just.
Well, you when you came on and you said about like if you're got a movie, you don't just promote it, you're gonna wear it. But honestly, that as I say this with my own logo on my head, but that is like a big part. Like especially an independent film, you're proud of it and you want it to get out there. So that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I'm rooting on the filmmakers. I'm rooting on the other actors, and I really hope that the people out there, they start rooting on all the filmmakers and people making movies out there a little bit more, because we're doing this for you guys. We're doing it for you. I always wanted to be, ever since I was a kid, an entertainer. I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to horrify people. I wanted to move people. And it's not easy being an actor. All these other actors out here, they're all struggling, and we're all doing it for you. And, I hope everybody realizes that, because we love you. We love the horror community. We love the indie film community. We love people out there that want to watch movies. So are we perfect? No. But, we're doing this for you.
Very cool. Thank you for coming on. And like I said, we'll do some stuff in the new year. We'll do maybe we'll do a bulk movie. A
lot of cool stuff is coming out next year. And Neal, you just so you know, you're my favorite show on YouTube.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right. I think I have I think I brute 1976. Not the whole movie. We're gonna play the trailer here to close out the show.
All right. Let's see it.
Well, I lied. It's not set up, but I'm gonna set it up right now.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's a blind bargain I have set up.
Oh, even better.
All right. So
yeah.
Well, it's a newer one. So blind bargain. We're gonna play this out with.
I work within the field of science and making people feel better. And now it is firmly in your grasp.
You know what a worm is, junkie?
I swear, I'll pay you back all of it.
What are you spending your money on?
Stuff.
Everyone grows old. Growing old is not mandatory.
I must admit, I do love the results of your work.
You are my creation.
Your mother's blood could be very valuable for Dr. Gruder's research.
So you want to buy her blood, right?
Yes. Amongst other things.
I've never been to a spa like this
Before. You're the only spa guest being admitted today.
I knew you were heartless. I didn't think you didn't have a soul.
What a trip.
You are a naughty boy, Dr. Gruder.
And he likes cats.
No need to call the police.
And this wasn't part of the deal.
Isn't it amazing? Gruder's a genius.
Mara.
You want to try your luck?
Nope. It's not safe.
Feel better?
Where have you taken me?
To a place where the phoenix flies and your feet never touch the ground.